For the business registration requirements, under Section 236 of the National Internal Revenue Code as amended, not just for the business registrants, but also when registering in the BIR. It is that next, that every person subject to any internal revenue tax shall register once, either electronically or manually, with the appropriate revenue district office as follows. We have five instances wherein number one, on or before the commencement of business for self-employed individuals, estates and trust, corporations and their branches, if any. Second, before payment of any tax due for the corporations, whether taxable or non-taxable, or the one-time transaction, or what we call the ONET. The third one is before or upon filing of any applicable tax returns, statement, or declaration as required by the tax code for the corporations, partnerships, associations, cooperatives, government agencies, and instrumentalities. And number four, within 10 days from date of employment for the employees. Please take note of that. And lastly, application under Executive Order Number 98 Series of 1999, where some government agencies require the presentation of the taxpayer identification number. Taxpayer identification number. Remember, it's not tax identification number. It is taxpayer identification number. It shall pertain to the system-generated reference index number issued and assigned by the BIR to each and every person registered in its database. In all of the business and or personal transactions of the registered person, whether these are with government offices or otherwise, this reference index number is required to be indicated. And we, of course, we want you to know the TIN structure. Okay, the first 9 digits is the TIN proper. This is the unique identifier of a taxpayer. And the last 5 digits will be the branch code. Kaya ito po ang mag-i-indicate sa inyong sales invoice or anything na pinipresent nyo po sa BIR, whether you are a head office, which is 5 zeros, or with 0001, 0002 as the branch code. Okay? Ayan po. Kaya para ma-acquaint po kayo sa TIN structure natin, the first 9 digits is the unique identifier and the last 5 digits is the branch code. Okay. Take note also, with emphasis supplied, only one taxpayer identification number or TIN shall be assigned to a taxpayer. Okay? Hindi po natin dapat gumamit ng multiple or even dalawa na TIN. Dapat po isa lang for a taxpayer. That any person who shall secure more than one TIN shall be criminally liable under the provision of Section 275 on the violation of other provisions of this code or regulations in general. Kaya check nyo na po kung marami kayong ginagamit na TIN. Okay? I-report po natin sa district having jurisdiction. Next is for the applications forms to be used. Ayan. Kailangan po alam natin kung ano-ano ang mga different forms in using in registering with the BIR. And these are the 1900 series. We have 1901, 1902, 1903, 1904, and 1905. Please take note of those 1900 series. For 1901, yun pong mga may business na ito. For self-employed individual, single proprietorship, professional with mixed income individuals, non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, the estate and trust. Ito po ang gagamitin nating application form for in registering such taxpayer type. Okay po. And for the filing date, this is filed on or before commencement of new business or before payment of any tax due or before filing a return. Kaya take note po, hindi po tayo agad-agad mag-open ng business without accomplishing and submitting this BIR Form 1901 for the self-employed individual, single proprietorship, or professional and mixed income individuals, non-resident alien engaged in trade, business, and the estate and trust. Next is 1902. Ayan. Katulad ko po na empleyado ng gobyerno, kung ako po ay wala pang TIN, I have to accomplish this BIR Form 1902. Application for registration for individuals earning purely compensation income, whether local and alien employee. Take note of that po. 1902 po ang ating gagamitin. And the filing date shall be filed within 10 days from the date of employment or before the payment of any tax due or before filing of a return or declaration is required. Next is 1903. I guess marami tayo po ngayon na participants here who are corporations, partnerships, whether taxable or non-taxable, including the government agencies and instrumentalities, the local government units, the cooperatives, and associations. Ito po ang gagamitin na application form for registration. Okay? And it shall be filed on or before the commencement of business or before payment of any tax due before filing a return. Next is 1904. Yung mga pinanganak na may gintong kutsara sa bibig na magmamana ng mga ari-arian na wala pang TIN, hindi pa employed. Ito po ang gagamitin nila. Application for registration for one-time taxpayer and person registering under EO 98 or simply securing a TIN to be able to transact with any government office. Yan po ang gagamitin natin na application for registration. And the filing date shall be before the payment of any tax due or before filing of return or before the issuance of TIN under Executive Order number 98. And last po is 1905. Ito po yung application for registration information, update, correction, or cancellation. Ito po yung gagamitin nyo. Kung halimbawa po, ang isang taxpayer ay nagbago ng kanyang marital status, pwede niya, ito po yung i-update niya from single to married. Or dapat niyang i-correct. O meron siyang correction or ika-cancel niya or i-close niya yung business. Ito po yung gagamitin niya na BIR form. Okay? I-check mark lang po natin doon kung ano yung applicable na dyan sa mga boxes na yan. And the filing date shall be filed each time the taxpayer needs to register the change in registration, such as but not limited to change in registered activities, change in tax type, details, and etc. Even the replacement of lost TIN card, lost certificate of registration, or cancellation of registration and or TIN. Ayan po ang gagamitin po natin pag tayo po ay magtatransact sa BIR. By the way, these forms po is downloadable po sa BIR website, www.bir.gov.ph. And ito rin naman po ay available sa ating mga online systems po in registering a business or even getting a TIN. Meron po tayong mga available na portals for that na available naman po yung mga forms na yan. Okay? Meron din naman. Am I loud and clear po?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, next next slide please. Ayan. Please take note that there are different taxpayer types. Iba po sa tax type, ano? Iba din yung taxpayer types. And when we say different taxpayer types, we mean this under Section 5 of Revenue Regulations number 7-2024 as amended by RR 11-2024. And these are the following. First, we have the self-employed individuals, whether it's single proprietor or professionals in practice of profession. Ayan, palagay ko po ngayon marami tayong audience via Zoom and via Facebook ng mga single proprietors, professionals na nagpo-practice ng kanilang profession. It is being filed whether online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address. Take note, place of business address. Okay? If without physical place of business at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence. Please take note of that. Next is corporations, partnerships, associations, cooperatives, government agencies and instrumentalities, or non-individuals. Ito po, they can apply their registration online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address. Next slide. And these are the non-resident Filipino citizens, the non-resident aliens, the non-resident foreign corporations. Ayan, kung kayo po ay isa sa nabibilang dito, you can have it registered via online or manual registration at the Revenue District Office number 39 South Quezon City. Yun pong along Quezon Avenue. Okay? And for overseas Filipino workers and Filipino overseas contract workers who are not engaged in business, they can have it registered online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence of the OFW or the OCW. Next is hired employees, no? Meaning to say talagang empleyado kayo, there's an employee-employer relationship. Whether you are a local employees or a resident alien employees. You can register online through employer or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence. And the non-resident alien employees or the NRAE, your registration shall be online or manual at RDO number 39 South Quezon City. Next is Executive Order number 98. Those applying for transacting with the government agencies and instrumentalities, you can have it registered online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence of the applicant. Take note of that, and you will be using BIR Form 1904. Next is the non-resident parties to a one-time transaction or ONET, whether it's a donation, estate, sale of real property, or sale of shares of stocks. You can have it registered online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence of the parties where the corresponding tax returns will be filed. Okay? And for the estate, whether it's engaged in business, first, for those engaged in business, RDO having jurisdiction over the place of the head office of the business of the decedent. Okay? But those not engaged in business for estate, it is where the estate tax return will be filed. Okay? Yan. And for the trust, it's with the RDO having jurisdiction over the registered address of the trustee, provided, however, that in case such trustee is not registered, registration of the trust shall be made with the RDO having jurisdiction over the business address of the trustee. And for the branch and facility, in case for non-individual, like corporation and partnership, for your branch and facility, it's with the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address or location of the facility. In case of taxpayers under the jurisdiction of the large taxpayer service, each branches and facilities shall be registered at the concerned large taxpayers office or division where the head office is registered. Okay? And for the classification of taxpayers still under Section 2 of Revenue Regulations number 8-2024, we have already classified these taxpayers into micro taxpayer with less than 3 million pesos as gross sales for a taxable year, small taxpayers with 3 million to less than 20 million pesos gross sales for a taxable year, medium taxpayer with 20 million pesos to less than 1 billion pesos gross sales for a taxable year, and large taxpayer 1 billion pesos and above. Okay?